Hi all. Let's have a look on to some short answer questions which is related to the paper Introduction to Mass Communication. Agenda setting. The ability of the media to tell people what and whom to talk and think about. It also refers to those media that have more credibility than their competitors. Anchor is an on-camera person who reads the script for a broadcast news show. Attribution is telling readers the source of information. The audience are the group of consumers for whom the media text was constructed, as well as anyone else who is exposed to the text. Authoritarian theory. The prevailing belief that a ruling elite should guide the intellectually inferior masses. Censorship. The practice of suppressing a text or part of a text that is considered objectionable according to certain standards. Channel is the vehicle or medium through which the signals are sent. Circulation is the total number of copies of a publication delivered to newsstands, vending machines, and subscribers. Communication gap is the inability to communicate on a meaningful level because of some difference between the parties. Convergence is the merging of previously separate communication industries such as publishing, computers, film, music, broadcasting, made possible by advances in technology. Defamation is the act of harming the reputation of another by publishing false information. Developmental journalism is a type of journalism practiced by many third world countries that stresses national goals and economic development. Digital divide is the lack of technological access among poor, disabled, and those in living rural communities. Disinformation. The intentional planting of false information by government agencies or sources. E-book. It's a digital version of a book which can be read by using a computer or a special reader. Email. Electronic messages sent from computers to computer. Information that is fed back to the source's messages in the form of applause, yawning, puzzle looks, questions, etc. are known as feedbacks. The press is considered as the fourth estate or the fourth pillar of a democratic society. Freelancing. To produce news stories for several publications and none of which is a full-time employer. The process of filtering messages from the source to receiver is known as gatekeeping. The idea that media were all powerful and that media messages were like bullets that went straight to their intended target with the intended effect. It is known as hypodermic needle theory. Infotainment is the combination, usually in news and current affairs programs, of information and entertainment. Kinesics is the study of facial and body movements. Legal offences that invite criminal or civil cases for publishing or broadcasting a story that damages a person's reputation is known as libel. Morgue is the common name for a newspaper library where clippings, files, and reference books are kept. That distorts the message intended by the source is known as noise. People who receive opinion leaders' interpretations of media content are known as opinion followers. Then, opinion leaders are the people who initially consume media content and interpret it in the light of their own values and beliefs and then pass to the opinion followers. An attempt by the government to censor the press by restraining it from publishing or broadcasting material. It is known as prior restraint. Propaganda is any media text whose primary purpose is to openly persuade an audience of the validity of a particular point of view. Slander is the spoken defamation. Tabloids are heavily illustrated publications that is half in the size of a broadsheet. Websites are online magazines. World Wide Web is the network of pages of images, text and sounds on the internet which can be viewed using browser softwares. News reporting that emphasizes on sex, murder, self-promotion and human interest stories are known as yellow journalism. Communication between human beings and non-human entities are known as extrapersonal communication. Communication with the entities without a physical body is known as transcommunication. Communication between two persons is known as dyadic communication. Communication barriers that arises due to language-related issues are known as semantic or language barriers. Rhetoric is the art of speaking or writing effectively. Harold D. Lasswell is a leading American political scientist and communication theorist. Lasswell is well known for his model of communication, which focuses on who says what to whom, with what channel and with what effect. Hickey's Bengal Gazette, or the original Calcutta General Advertiser, was an English language weekly newspaper published in Kolkata. It was the first newspaper printed in India. FM broadcasting is a method of radio broadcasting using frequency modulation. It is invented in 1933 by American engineer Edwin Armstrong. Encoding is the process of putting a sequence of characters into a specialized format for efficient transmission. Decoding is the process of turning communication into thoughts. Community radio is when local people produce and broadcast their own programs and participate in operating the station. ISBS is Indian State Broadcasting Service. SITE stands for Satellite Instructional Television Experiment. It was an experimental satellite communication project which was launched in India in 1975, designed jointly by NASA and the Indian Space Research Organization. The Office of the Registrar of Newspapers for India, which is more popularly known as RNI. Narcotizing dysfunction is a theory that as mass media inundates people on a particular issue, they become addicted to it. That means they are substituting knowledge for action. ABC stands for Audit Bureau of Circulation. Paid news in India is the practice of cash payment or equivalent to journalists and media organizations by individuals and organizations so as to appear in their news articles and to ensure sustained positive coverage. WAN-IFRA is the World Association of Newspapers and News Publishers. Agency France Presse, which is popularly known as AFP, it's a French cooperative news agency, one of the world's great wire news service. In 1835, the Bureau Hours became the Agency Hours, the world's first true news agency. Many Voices, One World, also known as the McBride Commission Report, was written in 1980 by the UNESCO, which reports to its International Commission for the Study of Communication Problems. AP, that means the Associated Press, is an American non-profit news agency headquartered in New York City. Reuters, an international news agency founded in London in 1851 by Paul Julius Reuter. The agency pioneered the use of telegraphy, building up a service used today by newspapers and radio and television stations in most countries. The information superhighways and extensive electronic networks such as internet used for the rapid transfer of information such as sound, video and graphics. Media imperialism is a theory based upon an over-concentration of mass media from larger nations as a significant variable in negatively affecting smaller nations, in which the national identity of smaller nations is lessened or lost due to media homogeneity inherent in mass media from the larger countries. Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution of India guarantees to all its citizens the right to freedom of speech and expression. The law states that all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression. Under Article 19 Clause 2, the state may make a law imposing reasonable restrictions on the exercise of the right to freedom of speech and expression in the interests of the security of the state, friendly relations with the foreign states, public order, decency, morality, sovereignty and integrity of India, or in relation to the contempt of court, defamation of incitement to an offence. RWB is an international non-profit and non-governmental organization with the state aim of safeguarding the right to freedom of information. The full form of RWB is Reporters Without Borders. The Press Freedom Index is an annual ranking of countries compiled and published by Reporters Without Borders since 2002, based upon the organization's own assessment of the country's press freedom records in the previous year. Section 66A of IT Act made sending of offensive messages using a computer or any other communication device is a crime. The Right to Information Act, simply known as RTI, is a revolutionary act that aims to promote transparency in government institutions in India. The act came into existence in 2005 after sustained efforts of anti-corruption activists. Popular culture is the set of practices, beliefs and objects that embody the most broadly shared meanings of a social system in a particular period of time. AIR, the All India Radio, officially known since 1957 as Akashvani, is the national public radio broadcaster of India and is a division of Prasar Bharati. It was established in 1936. It is the sister service of Prasar Bharati's Doordarshan, an Indian television broadcaster. The Central Board of Film Certification, CBFC, is a statutory film certification body in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting of the Government of India. So these are some probable questions which is related to that paper, Introduction to Mass Communication. I think this will be helpful to you and thank you.